So, welcome guys to the show today. We talk about Kusama and Polkadot. So, we'll talk about some of the parachains that are in the Polkadot model. But before we actually go in depth, we want to have a little bit of um, overview of the Polkadot ecosystem. So, I'll be sharing my screen on some stuff on the board. Now, in the design space of blockchain networks, we have different generations of blockchain. We have that of generation one, the likes of BTC, is cater for just a digital currency and store value. And it does that very well. And then we have generation two, we have the likes of Ethereum, or have a form of world computer, or will I say a decentralized app store. So when you have things like the Google Play Store and the Android OS, and then you're having things like the Apple Store, and then the iOS. But the Ethereum is a form of decentralized stuff. And then the next generation now is generation Ethereum, which is where we are. Where we talk about interoperability. So, what are some of the reasons why we are building something like Polkadot? So, on Ethereum, this is the Ethereum base layer. It's called the layer one. You can build a number of things on it. You can put smart contracts. You can put DApps. You can put different things on this network, and you will be good to go. But there are some problems with this model where if you put everything inside one network, you clog the whole network. It's like this is a
overload,
and every single car has to go through this handle. So one of the things will be congestion.
Yeah.
And then we'll have these networks. Congestion will result in people being slow. So there will be low TPS, the output will be low. And also that it's now the competition for resources. So you have to pay more for resources. So if you want your transaction to be executed in a block, you have to pay high fees. And then another thing with congestion is that you are not going to get your desired user experience. So that is the major thing there. Meaning, when people complain that if something is too slow, now when you build on a network as this, if you are building something maybe like a school app to pay, let's say, tuition fees, and somebody is doing options trading, and building an options market, these two people are different things. But why should one person be compared to pay fees like the other person? That is where the likes of Polkadot actually comes in. So the whole model centers around giving developers the ability to build their own chains. So rather than have something like Ethereum that puts every single person on one network is Ethereum. We'll create a system where there's a central hub, like the central nervous system. And this central nervous system, you can have different, so these are apps now. So you can build different parallel chains. And these different parallel chains can cater for different needs. Maybe this one is a smart contracts platform. Maybe you're using this one for gaming. This one NFT. Maybe this one is another smart contract. This one is XYZ. This one is ABC. And the list continues. Now, when you're building this stuff, they cannot be interconnected. So each of them derives can be connected to the main network. So this is the relation. And this is called a parallel chain, which is called parachain. Now, what are the advantages of this? One of the advantages of this is what we call shared security. So meaning, if you want to attack any of the parachain, you have to attack the relation number one. And then another benefit is interoperability. So this parachain will be easily able to connect to this one, able to connect to this one. Be able to connect to this one.
Because they are in the same blockchain. They are in the same network.
The whole stuff is it will be very, very okay. And then the other advantage is that you will get specialization. So there is nothing like the competition for resources. So maybe somebody just built a parachain to solve school tuition problems, and I, as a student, I get to pay tuition on those school stuffs maybe once in a semester. I will not be compared to pay fees like the one who does option market. Now, another stuff is you might be asking, how do you secure? So to get each of these parachains, a slot, they call it slot. But this is the relation. The parachains are connected to get a slot. They have what they call parachain options. So for the parachain options, for you to be a validator on the Polkadot or Kusama network, you have to stake some tokens to validate. So for parachains, validators are compared to validate the blocks of these parachains. So for those that they are tasked with specific chains per time. So you need a parachain option. So there are ways you can get parachain options. So parachain options require that you lock either dots or Kusama net tokens for this particular purpose. And after you've done that, for the dots, it's a 2-year period, or PSN is a 1-year period. Then your tokens are locked. So there are various ways you can get these tokens. You can either appeal to your community, which we'll talk about when I go to my screen, using a crowdloan. So you can say, okay, loan me your tokens, I'll give you something in return.
Okay.
Or you can do self-funding. So maybe you are a project and you have enough tokens, you can lock up these things and do them yourself. And then you can enjoy parallel execution very, very, very fast. So some people confuse Polkadot and Kusama. Polkadot is actually the
blockchain.
main network, and then KSM Kusama is they call it the canary network. So it's basically a test environment. And before now, like if you look things like Ethereum, they have Rinkeby testnet and the rest of them. But this testnet, they don't have economic value. So if you are testing, you cannot really. It's like when you I tell people maybe you are a soldier in training, and then you are training just with um you're training just with a simulation environment. You cannot really have the real deal until you understand what's essentially happening. So we'll go to our screen, and then we'll talk about some of the few parachains that we've launched. Okay, so have you used a or locked up your tokens for a parachain before?
Not really.
You said no?
I think I've used Kusama.
Okay.
I've used Kusama. I've used Kusama, but not that much. Not that really much. I've used Kusama, but not that really much.
Okay, so you've not done anything like parachain auctions.
No, I've not done the auction once. I've not done the auction.
And the Polkadot, of which I didn't talk about, Polkadot is very similar to Cosmos. Um, it's a connection of blockchain networks and all that.
Yeah, he has something like an EVM, which also supports Ethereum code, right? Ethereum Solidity smart code.
Yeah, an EVM, a parachain can do that. So we'll talk about some prominent parachains, either Polkadot or Kusama. So the first one we'll start with, according to adoption, we'll start with Moonbeam. So Moonbeam is something like so because these parachains allow for any kind of parachains. So you can take the EVM, call it palette or module, and build a parachain around it, such that when people who are familiar with things like Solidity,
You don't have to
or
learn another programming language.
yeah, they don't have to learn that program
Moreover, due to adoption also, still make them to provide an EVM so that those who are already Ethereum developers using Solidity, they don't have to learn new code. Apart from learning new code, in terms of gas fee, due to the fact of that Ethereum gas fee is high also, they make uses of bridge also for transactions and the rest.
Yeah. Um, so Moonbeam is there, and then it has its cousin Moon River, which we'll go to talk about later. We have Parallel Finance. Parallel Finance is doing something great with things like liquid staking, auction loan, doing lending and borrowing. So they are doing a lot of things in that. They also have an EMM and many other features. We have Acala. Acala brings a kind of EMM network. It brings a Acala stablecoin,
Coin.
and then we
Also,
also have an EVM.
yeah,
And then one of the things about the Acala EVM, even though it's not yet ready, is though it's not that fully functional. It's it brings a bring your own gas. So this is the feature. It says pay your gas and any token. So let's say for example before now maybe you have a transaction on Uniswap.
Mm.
Even if you have the Uniswap token, you cannot pay the fees in Uniswap token. You have to pay Ethereum. But this Acala model, they call it the Acala EVM Plus.
Yeah.
You can pay fees in your native token, and that's though the fees get uh, exchanged for the underlying Acala token, but it makes it very. It's like let's say for example you want to transact in an environment, you already have some cash, so why not be able to?
No need to swap token anymore.
No need to swap tokens and the rest of it. Let's say for example you have 1,000 naira
Yeah.
in a particular token, and you want to swap it to another token because you don't have Ethereum, you cannot do that. So, but now you can easily swap, and then they will charge you from your. It's just like on a normal exchange, they just charge you from the fees. So they have a lot of partners, and then the last one, okay, one of them is Astar Network. So they, if you want, it has WASM and then EVM. So if you want to develop contract, and it will also support things like rollups. So if you want to develop contracts using the EVM or WASM, you can also do that. And then they have this model called the app staking. So where you stake tokens. Though we'll do a deep dive on each of them, you stake your Astar tokens on smart contracts, and um, you are good to go with that. And then we'll have Clover Finance. These are also EVM compatible chains that offer a lot of things. So with now, our viewers have been able to understand how this stuff works. But before we end the video, we'll talk about parachains. So if we go to parachains, we will go to see, okay, let's say parachains.info, how different parachains work. So these are some of the parachains.
Okay.
Some of them are live. Now let's take for example.
Sora is still part of the parachains.
Yeah, they bidded for and they won a slot. Now, supposing these are some of the platforms. So I think there is a website. I think Subvisio. So Subvisio tracks parachains. Which one of them is running now? Who is leading? And what slot? Let's go to Kusama. Crowdloan. Okay, pink shoe. Let's see if we can. That crowdloan. Okay, this one's not live. It's trash.
Okay.
Is it mass? But the process is very easy. I think we'll do a video on how to.
And that should be in another video.
Yeah. It will be another. But we can see how these this whole parachain stuff work. If we Maybe if I can pull up some videos and we can set the model like this. For our parachains are connected. So this is like the relay hub. Then you
Yeah.
can see all these parachains. So I think and that is enough. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. You can end. Wow, yeah.
Sure.